All right, welcome in everyone. Good to see you. We have a special guest today sitting backstage, about to pull him up, the one and only Jonah Blake.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Sound good, look good. How's your week treating you
Thank you.
so far?
Good. It's just work. That's what I do. Work, gym, video games, somewhere in that order. That's it.
Yeah, you've been consistent on the gym grind for a little while now. That's been pretty impressive seeing how you've even posted about it to try and show people that you are sticking to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like the biggest guy or something like that. I do it because I feel like social pressure will push me, right? Because it's like, oh, I posted, I'm doing it. If I don't do it, then I kind of look like an idiot. And then I think about it, I'm like, all right, I'll go to the gym.
Yeah, there's a ton of studies around that too. The people who post that they're at the gym, although, there's a lot of haters to those posts, there's a
Mhm.
huge correlation towards them sticking with it once they basically do what you said, put the social pressure on themselves that that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that I mean, that's why I do it. I mean, it's nice to see the transformation. Um, I don't look like Captain America by any means, but I've noticed a dramatic change physically and mentally.
Yeah, I can't. I've been through quite a few stages. I just had my daughter in January, and when you're off and life is kind of chaotic, and then you stack on poor diet, lack of sleep, the mental side of things on top of the physical side of things go downhill really fast when you're not moving around and taking care of yourself.
I don't have kids yet, so I don't know what that's like, but I imagine that I'll probably balloon when that does happen.
It's a it's a battle, but the discipline and the routines you get in place now are so crucial. But I wanted to have you on today. A big focus of the show is always bringing on people that I believe are high character, really good people that are really excelling in the fields they're in. And you're somebody that I've always seen as very authentic to who you are. You're going to be very honest with what you think on things and how you digest the market. And on top of that, you show consistency in multiple aspects of your life, from taking care of the gym, from sticking around, pushing through, learning new things, building out content, building out LiveFrame. But you've done that as far back as I've gotten the chance to run into you, even on CT. So I always want to get people in front of the right people so they know who to be following, who they should be listening to in the market, even if it's a counter take to their own. So I'd love to dive into your background, and then we'll push all the way up to what you're doing now. But I think a lot of people don't realize that you're one of the rare people who's actually gone in front of this of Senate before in Ohio, right?
Yeah, that was a long time ago. I think that was either pre-COVID or during COVID. I think it was pre. Yeah, it was pre-COVID. Life was different back then, but yeah, that was when I was working on more casino stuff, which is kind of funny because I kind of market casinos now or casino adjacent products. PASPA had reversed, and then every state was able to decide how they want to go about sports betting and other types of casino betting, both online and physical. Ohio is what you would consider a swing state in the Midwest, meaning they have such a large population and a large influence around that region that if Ohio imposes a bill or a law, other states usually mimic or copy or make derivatives of that. And so I worked with a casino at the time. I was tasked to go do it. I wrote part of it. It was mainly on esports at the time, which is still a pretty big market now.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think was I 23 or 24. About a year later, the governor passed a fair bit of the language I wrote, and it went ahead. And Ohio has a pretty substantial part of sports betting, if I recall. I know a lot back then. There was a big emphasis on building physical casinos there because it would bring a lot of tax revenue. I don't know how that proceeded considering that it's we're all in crypto, so it's pretty clear online gambling is where the real money is.
Yeah, I saw that and it really made me wonder what if we even rewind a little bit more, and then we'll start moving forward, but what put you in a position to be the guy for that moment and to be the guy to step in there and represent that? Like, what were you doing at the time that lent to you taking on that initiative?
I was doing a lot of networking. I was doing a lot of consulting, and I was pretty deep in esports. I was talking about esports. I was talking about games, playing them, the business of them. I was making content effectively, but it was um, mainly LinkedIn content more than anything. It wasn't. I was never on Twitter at that time. It didn't happen for me. I mean, I had an account, but I never used it, and I got like a small audience, but not of like viewers, like in the traditional sense, but investors who at the time, there's a type of banking called TMT. It basically telecom, media, and communications, right? That's the type of banking. And these bankers are the ones that structure mergers, acquisitions, divestment, loans, all sorts of investment tools for companies, right? And a lot of TMT bankers were not in VC, and they weren't in what would be called family office, which is effectively VC, but they can sit there for 20 years. They don't care. That's just very wealthy family who likes long term bets. Um, and they wanted someone to talk to, and right place, right time. And I was also doing some work for some companies in the advertising space around selling ads on live broadcasted events. And when the iron's hot, you got to strike, right? That's the saying, strike while the iron's hot. And yeah, I think that's part of my what I attribute to my career success so far is either through luck or through some innate ability I can't process. Um, if you can see patterns and know when a pattern is emerging and know how to capitalize on that pattern, you'll be a successful person no matter what you do.
Super interesting, especially at that age. A lot of people are still trying to get their sea legs under them, 23, 24 years old. Most people are flying around maybe in a job they won't end up doing. But seems like what you were doing ends up tying into the bigger picture of what you kept expanding on and eventually found some other lanes. How did that, what you were doing in there with gambling, casinos, regulation, and working with actual lawmakers, how did the thread get kind of through into crypto from there? Like where was the line there?
I was trading crypto on the side. I think the last article I had, or my first article, was like April 2018, if I remember. So almost 10 years ago. It's a long time
Wow.
actually.
Wow.
And I had tried to create a startup called DebtMet that ultimately failed miserably, which was a good lesson. I think it was 2017, late 2017. I was trying to start this business, but basically, I was going through college, and I had friends who could not pay their student debt, or they couldn't get loans because they just didn't. They didn't have the ability, and I was already, interested in Bitcoin, and there were things before Ethereum that were very Ethereum like
Yeah.
at the time. ICOs were a thing that had just kind of popped up and had started, and I was like, oh well, what if you could do student lending but on chain? The word on chain didn't exist. We just said blockchain though. So
Yeah.
student lending on the blockchain, and um, I had no experience in finance, especially well, mainly in this vertical. And it didn't work. One, because you realize that there are very powerful people who buy and sell debt as an asset class, and they sit on the returns of those student debts because it's one of the few things you can't really wiggle your way out of as a person. And I think the other reason, aside from being too young and inexperienced, was when I went to the bank to set up an account for this company, they flagged my account and shut my entire account down because at the time blockchain was considered a potential criminal activity, and any potential criminal activity would be flagged, and so they shut down all of my accounts, not just my that one business account. They shut down my personal account, which I got reinstated after a lot of conversations. But I kind of thought about it and was like, well, if banks are really afraid of it, either it truly is criminal or there's some really interesting things happening there because they're afraid of it. And so just on the side, I was playing with it. It wasn't a job. And then the crypto job world thing kind of came into lens when I joined Clubhouse very early on. The app doesn't exist anymore, but it had raised a lot of money from A16Z. And yeah, I just started talking to people, and it just, again, right time, right place, where what I was doing, not related to Clubhouse, became a point where people thought this was interesting. And then that slowly led into crypto. And then I actually started using my Twitter account. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, there's such unique opportunities, and it's fun hearing some of the funnels. Depending on years that somebody came in, there's usually a good amount of people from the Clubhouse group that shifted over, and then also enjoyed Spaces pretty early. Normally, when everyone, I don't know when Spaces showed up, but at one point there was that pivot, and then it seemed like Clubhouse was gone pretty soon after.
Well, if I remember, it was actually, there was one before Spaces, which was really funny. Spotify had what they called it the green room, and Spotify had their own version. And there were a lot of people on Spotify farming it. And, obviously they shut down that product because it didn't make sense. And then Twitter rolled out their version. And then, shortly thereafter, then Elon took everything over. But that was before Elon.
Yeah, when I look at some of these different pieces and how people enter, and then even through your story that we're going to continue down the line of, but you talk about specifically identifying opportunities, getting in early, and actually making the leap. I think some people do half identify an opportunity, but they don't really have they don't make the step. So then they end up being I was about to do that, or I was about to do that. What do you think for you? And I believe this even goes into the next step, which would be identifying gaming in a time when it actually made sense. What makes you identify that thing, but also how have you trained yourself to actually step into that moment?
I don't know if I could do it the same way as I did before because I'm older. So I think there's an age thing, right? I think when you're in your 20s, anytime you see a potential lucrative opportunity and you don't, like, again, I had an idea of what my career would be, but not really. I just knew I wanted to do something interesting. I like my whole thing. My dad has a saying, and I think every parent has the saying is, I don't care if you become a garbage man as your job, but you have to be the best garbage man nationwide or in that state.
Yeah.
My family has had this belief that it doesn't matter what you do, you just have to be the best at it. And so you can get that by being competitive in games or whatever, but part of being competitive is not just being the best. I realize it's also knowing when to start playing the game and knowing when to stop playing. For example, a lot of people are still playing NFTs. I think that I think that if you had stopped in 2022, closed your eyes, and let's say you wake up later this year, you would have missed nothing in NFTs and you could come right back to it, right? Doesn't mean that NFTs are dead, but you have to know personally yourself when to play and when to stop playing. Because sometimes people get into a pattern, but then they have what's called the sunken cost fallacy, and they don't realize that another pattern is forming that's a better alignment, right? So um, that's sort of how I don't know how to explain it. I wouldn't. It's not necessarily something you can train. You just kind of have to have a mindset. It's not like a skill like learning how to play tennis. It's like, okay, I have a direction in which I want to go to. I'm willing to start from zero if in 3 years this doesn't work. And that risk is it's a very high risk thing to do, and I don't think most people can do it. And I don't think most people should do it because most people are not meant to be that type of person. Most people do belong working at an office job, doing it 9 to 5 and having a good life and a good family. I don't believe everyone's built to be an entrepreneur or this free thinker or an upstarter. If everyone was, then we wouldn't then then America wouldn't exist. There wouldn't be companies, there wouldn't be banks, there wouldn't be, ways to call my parents. Everyone has a job in society. So most people aren't meant for this type of job.
There are so many different mentalities, stress levels, stress tolerance, all these different aspects where it does sometimes you do run into people who try and maybe force the wrong person into the position. Oh, I can't believe you work for somebody, you idiot. Oh, you're not going for it. And they're not really asking
Working
any
for someone is
questions.
quite nice.
Yeah.
I live in Florida, so there's a lot of college kids around here, right? And so sometimes I see them, whether it's at a restaurant or a bar, or through friends or someone's kid, and they're like, "I want to start a business." I'm like, "Do you really? Do you really though?" Like, you say it sounds good, but then you're gonna do it. I don't know. There's a lot of people are not built for it, but that's what it's meant to be. Like, if you can power through that, and if you can endure the suffering that comes with that, and actually win, then yeah, that's amazing. I'm not discouraging people from going out and finding their own pattern. I just think that most people are not equipped to handle the anxiety, stress, and unreliability of it. Like for me, presently, I don't have a paycheck that's just guaranteed to hit my account if I follow XYZ protocol, right?
Yeah.
If I don't perform this week, right, and I get sick or I have the flu and I don't have a backup or an assistant or someone to cover things, I'm down. I'm down this month, right? I find that my mentality in terms of building things is very similar to the mentality of a trader, which are all both very high stress jobs. Like where they sound great, like you're at a club and you meet some girl and they're like, "What do you do?" And you're like, "I'm a trader," or "I'm a founder," and they're like, "Wow, that's so cool! Like, let's go out." But then you actually live it. It's not as glamorous as the title is perceived to be.
A lot more hours go into the entrepreneur realm than the traditional working job. I think a lot of people see maybe people in these roles and people that are in certain companies traveling the world or doing this or doing that, but don't really see the extensive on hours that people tend to be that are building stuff. Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, they're all the same when you work for yourself. Like you said, when you're trying to establish, if I don't put in the effort, there is no money that just comes to me, sweat equity, hourly wages, none of that stuff is real. You have to create value. And so I completely agree. I think sometimes very hard for someone to connect that dot who's not in it, where it just
Mhm.
feels like, why did they, if they're super close to you, it could be, why do you work so much and all this? And they don't realize, well, if things were going incredible, then it might be a little easier to work a little less. But as you're building something new, it really takes digging in those first 2, 3 years to establish clients, to establish platforms, things
Mhm.
like that. And I think that's a
I
great
mean, don't get me
segue.
wrong, there's amazing experiences though. Like
Yeah.
if I didn't do what I do now, I wouldn't have toured Asia. I wouldn't have seen places that you can't, if you work a 9 to 5, you get maybe 2, 3 vacations a year max, right? Yes, you work less, but also you see less of the world, you meet less people. You do have a routine that can be exhausting. There's parts to that stack that have the grass is always greener on the other side, basically. That's the whole thing.
There's no doubt about it, especially within this industry. Travel has been a great aspect of it. And just being in this industry, I wouldn't have gone nearly as many places as being in here for the last 7, 8 years, like full on. And you meet incredible people. You meet some super big criminals, but you also meet some people that are really impressive and really willing to take
There's a
on
funny
anything.
saying, and I think it applies to crypto. Um, the only difference between a homeless person and an eccentric person is how much money they have. They're both weird people. They both do weird things. One has a lot of money, so they're called eccentric, and the other has no money, so they're called homeless.
I've never heard that one before. I have a
Yeah.
lot of homeless people around me out in Portland, so
Well, they
yeah,
may be eccentric and you don't know it.
I just got to get them
They're
some
just
money. It
they're just
sounds like.
they're They're just bohemian. That's all.
One day at a time. One day at a time. I need to start meeting them day by day. Jeff Bezos must be living down the street from me down here in town. He's just not there yet. He's not there
Not
yet.
yet. Correct.
But when we look at your journey through gaming, and we'll go quickly on this. I know you probably get, it's like beating a dead horse, probably talking about the gaming industry and what's happened, especially in the crypto industry, but we don't even have to keep it to that. But talk to us a little bit about identifying that early as an opportunity, because it definitely was. And another opportunity where you said knowing when to close the chapter on that, even if it's a love of yours or a passion.
Mm-hmm. Well, in 2018, the idea of games and crypto was actually very exciting, and there were people in like small forums talking about it. And obviously, things like Axie was kind of what popped up out of Asia. I think the idea early on was take finance and gamify it, and there was no thought of AI taking people's jobs. It was the idea of um, World of Warcraft or RuneScape, where you could build this life or this, experience economy inside of it, and the idea that finance could be embedded in a game economy for real was very enticing. Um, One of the patterns you can find if you want to go into something early is, well, one, you have to figure out who's creating the pattern. In this case, it's usually the VCs, right? They have a thesis. They test that thesis by deploying capital, and then you find out if their thesis is correct or if they lost their money. And I happen to see the pattern mainly because with crypto, there are very few things you can do on it. DeFi, well, now we know predictions were happening back then. It was called Augur. Lending, yield, like from treasury and casino, right? And so if you think about all like the consumer applications, gaming is only one of the few. And if you see VCs starting to think about it and write about it, you could probably predict, you wouldn't predict how big, but you can predict there is a market there over like a 3 to 5 year term. Now, of course, that didn't pan out. And, you know, the moment I decided it was time to quit is I was seeing another pattern. And that was people are playing games, but they're not playing these games. They're playing meme coins. They're playing prediction markets. They're playing, these are all games. They are video games. Like they have all the fundamentals of a video game. They're just extremely high risk and don't exactly have like the best players, but they're video games. And so if you have Web 2 people who don't want to play these games, then you need Web 3 people. But the Web 3 people don't want to play these games. They're playing these other types of games. And so, you know, it doesn't really matter what you think. The world kind of tells you what it thinks and it decides. And if there are no players to be had on either side of the fence, then your thesis is either wrong or too early. I think it's probably a mix of both. I think too early is probably a large part of that. But in reality, the financial incentives don't align appropriately because the devs aren't incentivized to make really quality content. They're incentivized to raise a token price and then sell it for a certain amount of money. And on the other side, there's no incentive to keep a user from selling their assets. They just need to make money. And I think the problem is once you add money into that mix, unless the game is about money, in this case, predictions, meme coins, you sully the IP itself. It just didn't work. And that's what it is. But I don't regret doing what I did. I do believe that everything in life happens for a reason mantra. And it allowed me to get more oriented in predictions. Because I was a content creator, I had a very good understanding of the creator economy and marketing and all these other things that led me to start LiveFrame in my agency. So I don't regret it. I mean, of course, I wish crypto gaming was real, but I don't sit around moping about it. There are a lot of creators who do, and I think it's a waste of time. It's like, okay, well, you were wrong. Go do something else. But they refuse to give up, which maybe they're right. But I bet the other side.
That was something I noticed pretty early, was when you identified that it was no longer just I mean, same way people identify it's no longer makes sense to be on a certain chain if they're there to make some money and participate. You identified it. You said, "Hey, I it's not that I don't love gaming. It's that it's just not the place to be. It's not where the attention should be focused." And you moved on. And I'm with you. I saw a fair amount of people just linger, but with just a super negative attitude and just built shows
Mhm.
around more complaining about it. And there wasn't really a lot of intelligent conversations going around fixes. Didn't seem like many people knew what they were talking about. And so it just became kind of a void of negativity around the space. There was not, it's like they all needed to almost take a break so they could come back fresh, remembering that they did love games and just kind of wash themselves a little from this extractive short-term period of, yeah, it was just all token launches with no integration, no value gaining, and then just down only charts. Do you see a place where there is, I mean, I know you've thought about it, that there's no way you haven't, you were in it too long. Do you see a place where the thread of bringing it back is in your mind?
Oh yeah, we started. I mean, we started building games again. Even like this last month, we built one called LuckyJack.app, and we have another one coming out later this week. But they are crypto enabled, but we are not going to be marketing them as crypto at all when we actually do the marketing. And the other thing is I learned to really hone in on an audience when they're speaking to you. So these are not games that you just download on Steam. These are casino games. These are games for money and luck, and it's casino. Um, I currently have no desire to build an actual video game for crypto. If I were to build an actual game, whether it's Roblox, Fortnite, or something else, I'm gonna go do it in Web 2. I have no remote desire to build a real video game for people in Web 3 because they don't care and they don't want one. They don't care about one. So I focus on money games, which is what people do want and people do play and spend.
Yeah, people love, I mean, it's been actually pretty interesting to see, and this goes into content a bit as well. The gambling content and the amount of money spent on big influence around gambling platforms, whether it's RainBet, whether it's whatever you name it, casino type platform. It's been a very interesting thing for, what they call an unk now, but
Mhm.
it's such a like this younger generation feels like it's so entrenched in gambling content and everything being one click away, everything like that. How do you view that in your mind as content, like as of the how do you view that content shift, which wasn't so gambling heavy, it was maybe more balanced, and now for the younger generation feels like every influencer they watch is sponsored by a gambling platform and is clicking a button on screen to show them the bet they won each stream?
Um, well, I have a lot of thoughts on it, but it doesn't start at the creator. It starts at the actual casinos themselves. And you go, well, why are they doing it? Well, one, it works. They are getting users, or they wouldn't keep doing it. But if you build a casino, you're competing with hundreds of casinos around the world when you're online because a VPN, you can go to whatever casino you want. And so if you're a big casino, the only way to own market share in that part of the marketing economy is to buy creators, even if you don't care about their content or even if they don't have good reporting or metrics. The idea is you're not buying a creator to sell your product, you're buying the creator and putting them in an exclusive contract so another casino can't buy them. And the idea is to suffocate oxygen out of the room for any competitor by owning all of them. So that's why you see a lot of people getting those deals because you don't need to have really good metrics to actually get them. You just need to be making good casino content, and then they'll just acquire you so that way other people can't buy you. So it's an easy way to make money. That's why creators are doing it. It's much easier than actually being creative. I think the other thing is just like people want a way out, and most people on the planet are poor. I mean, what
Yeah.
they don't have a unique skill. They don't have like a certain work ethic. These games are designed to psychologically prey on you. Like they are. I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. Our games have design based on that too. Like I'm playing to win. I'm playing to make money. Of course, we have those type of psychological loops in our games or in clients we work with. That's the way this works. So um, I think when you have a hyperinflated economy mixed with a psychology, mixed with the reality that this is a very easy way to get money if you're a creator, yeah, you're going to see it everywhere. And it's not going away anytime soon, by the way. It's going to be here for a long time. Unless someone decides to make it illegal, which I highly doubt because they have lobbyists that can afford to keep it as is. These prediction markets are growing month over month. They are the new casino because now you can gamble on Love Island, right? Or predict on Love Island and NFL in the same website. And, they're going to generate a lot of tax revenue for these states. So, yes, there'll be states that ban it, like a New York or maybe even a Texas or whatever. It's not going to stop people from playing these games. People want to feel like they can make money fast and easy and they want to talk to their friends about it. This is the easiest way to do it.
Prediction markets are definitely, it's like a friendlier version of gambling because you just feel like it has a better game feel. Like, oh, I can get in, I can
Because
get
you can
out.
pick a topic that you feel you know a lot about,
Yeah.
right? So it feels like a game that's not rigged.
And I love the aspect of the ability to control mid game. Like, oh, Patrick Mahomes
Mhm.
goes down 2 touchdowns. Well, playbook in the NFL is the star quarterback always comes back in some manner. So, oh, I'm playing this swing. He's going to pull it back to even. I'm going to get the maybe double up from 20 to 40%. I can get a 2x gain in the middle of that game based on how the momentum is shifting and the psychology of these other people. So the hardest part probably was the initial discipline of playing it and understanding those aspects of it, moving mid game and not having to hold to the finish line, which I did multiple times, which was just the dumbest thing
Mhm.
ever because the stupidest stuff would happen. But yeah, prediction markets are unique. I don't dabble as much, I think, in a lot of the unique categories because I don't have
Mhm.
expertise. So it almost feels like I'm like mentioned markets are super, super tough and things like that.
Yeah, that's more of
So
an expert trader type thing, generally.
yeah, I can't because I can't even because the odds are people don't even know what the odds are. It's literally a mystery what the odds of somebody saying a word is inside of a speech. Like we don't have enough data over time to give odds very easily on stuff like that. So I don't know. But I do. I can at least appreciate. I'm not a big gambler from the original sense,
Mhm.
but from a prediction market sense, it is a way that it got me into that world and feeling a little bit more comfortable than a traditional bet that you sweat to the finish line. Like anything could happen till the last second, and you could be blaming the refs, blaming whoever, and pissed off.
Mhm. I mean, I gamble from time to time. I don't make it my life's mission because I don't have the time. But I mean, if I didn't have a job, I would gamble a lot. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I would.
it's for every person. Each person has to decide their own psychologically. I get a little angrier than I should be when I'm gambling, so I just opt out of it. I'm like, you know what? I don't get any pleasure from winning, but I definitely get pissed off when I lose. And once I realized that balance, that was a clear sign that, well, there's no value add here
Well,
then if I don't enjoy it.
that's the psychology of gambling. I mean, the whole business is called chasing losses, right? That's why RTP exists because you want them to win, but not too much, and you want them to lose more often than they win. So that way, when they do win, it feels amazing. Because if you just win every time, even if it's better for you psychologically, it's not better for the casino as a whole.
What's RTP?
Return to player, meaning
Okay.
like if you pay $10 for a spin, you know, and there's a 95% RTP rate, maybe that'll turn into 3, 4, 5 games before you lose your $10 because you give us 10, you get back 9, or maybe you get back 11 or 12. You play again and you get back 15. You play again and it goes back to 11. And so, there's math around giving you enough money to keep playing and then, you know, taking it from out under you.
Yeah, I feel like craps is good at doing that. Can keep you at the table for a while. You feel like you're in it, and then
Mhm.
it just flows around. That's one of the better ones, but I also feel it has more of a fun board game-esque feel to it. So it's a easier once people get over the hurdle of just the initial look at it. I think most people that play it, it's easy to feel like, oh, okay, we're all here, like we're all
Yeah.
gonna make it mentality at a table. And then the movie style, can I hit the numbers over and over? I'm looking at though, I want to pivot, which is still on topic, but I want to go into what you've really been passionate about lately and what I feel you have really been standing out with lately, which is content and content
Mhm.
on a lot of different platforms. You have been hitting impression levels that are very impressive. Your consistency is dialed in every day, and your account growth is great. How has that been for you, and how difficult has it been to navigate the different algorithms with your content?
I mean, the first 5 months was really tough, and I basically lost a lot of money because you have to pay editors, you have to do things, right? So, um, it took a while, but I think I do treat it like a video game because my whole life is like a video game, is what I say. Where if you ever played, I don't know, Legendary Halo, right? Halo 3
Yeah,
on Legendary Edition, you
100%.
you get screwed a few levels in, but all right, at some point you know how to deal with the elites, you know how to deal with the brutes, you know where to place your weapon, you know where to stand in the arena. And same thing with algorithms. And they change all the time because they are like almost like a game because you know you get the season one and then they add a new map. In this case, a new algorithm. So I do a lot of A/B testing. I think now I've really got it down where my number one priority has to be building my actual company, and then number two, my content, because the idea is that I'm helping hundreds of other creators. So it eventually got perfected into I stream once a day, 4 times a week for 30 minutes to 2 hours max. And of that, I think I can get anywhere from 5 to 10 potential clips per stream. And then my editor, who I have to trust, understands the game like I do, which he does, will take those 5 to 10 and narrow it down to like two a day of those 10, like the two best. So that's what we do. It's a filtering system, and it's now automated to the point where I turn on this camera, I turn on my stream. I have a list of things that I read every day. No one sources the content for me. I do it myself, but I also have an AI bot that does it now. I built an AI bot to find the content for me. But the streams stem from a lot of reading I do every day to stay current in the market of things. So, I mean, I guess the best way to explain my model is AI, technology, business, right? Anything within those verticals, gaming is included. And I'll look for the top 5 trending things that day, and then I'll think of an interesting hook for the first 10 seconds of me talking about that story. Because everything about Instagram, TikTok, YouTube is the hook, the first 3 to 10 seconds. And I then think about how do I dramify up the story beyond what the actual article is saying, right? So the reason why I pick articles rather than just my own takes normally, although I have different things that I run, is because if it's indexed in the AI as a high value news story, then it's likely it'll be indexed high on other algorithms. Because these other algorithms are no longer that different. They've all become kind of homogenous. So what works on Instagram has a likelihood to work on TikTok, but doesn't on YouTube. But what works on Instagram can likely work on YouTube, right? So it's just about knowing what audience is watching what platform. And I don't care if one gets 100 views and the other gets 100,000. Like that's fine. I don't need them all to hit. On average, for every 5 videos I post, usually one or two will be a hit. That's like the odds that I'm
That's
looking at in
good.
terms of growth, right? Because my average cost per video is around $40. For $40 to be justified, I need to be doing on average 100,000 plus impressions a week if I can manage it. Now, there are weeks where that doesn't happen and I'm willing to incur the cost, because then there'll be a video that hits like a million. And it's like, well, fuck, that million just made up. If you pay $40 for a million view video, well, your ECPM, which is called the effective cost per impressions, is really good. Like, it beats Facebook rates. So who cares if, I have a few videos that are duds and they cost me $200? Doesn't matter.
2 out of 5 is a really good number. I got to imagine. I don't know for sure, but just hearing it and doing any content yourself, it's not that often you hit 205, like the average person, or even not the average person, somebody actually doing content consistently. 205 is really good numbers. How long
Doesn't
did it
always
take you to
happen,
get
but
there?
like, took me about 6 months. Like, the first step isn't actually even knowing about what to talk about. It's how to talk about something, right? Because if you are a good wordsmith, and I don't write my own scripts because I don't need to anymore, but I used to try to. I just do it off the cuff. Once you start internalizing what's working with people and what isn't, you get this um, instinct for what can go viral. Like, if you do it long enough, you start to see the patterns, right? And again, just like how I did it back then, patterns are how you make money. Knowing why a pattern exists, who made the pattern, how consistent is that pattern, and what are the outcomes of those patterns is the fundamental basis of becoming wealthy, right? Or becoming good at something. Everything's a pattern. So I've just noticed a pattern within each algorithm. And when the algorithm changes, then a new pattern emerges. You just have to keep pounding until you figure out what that pattern is.
It's really good. I love the way you think about thinking about it from a gaming perspective, thinking like attacking everything from a gaming perspective. How would you attack the way? Because so many people can relate to that, because so many people at least did trench through the Halo games or whatever. If you're an NES, those are some of the hardest games ever. If you made it through those and you had the discipline with no saves to make it through something crazy like that, then then I guess applying a mentality like that is easier to digest. It's easier to digest
Mhm.
the misses, the adjustments, the patterns, the pieces like that. And I think a lot of people don't connect that dot, and they don't frame it in a way that they can handle the downs a bit easier, or know to pivot like they would in other things they do in life, even if it's sports, games, whatever that ends up being. So I think that's a super healthy mindset to go in attacking a new skill set that you're trying to take on.
I think the other thing is that a lot of people will do things when they don't really want to, which, if you're getting paid to do it, you have to do that. But no, there's no company that told me I have to make content. No one told me I had to do this, right? So you have to want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, you're not going to be good at it. Like, for example, I technically don't need to make content. I could technically just run LiveFrame as a back end manager, run the deals, and then other people can make content. I choose to make content for two reasons. One, I think it's fun. I like talking about things and talking to people. I think it's fun to do it. And I get a dopamine release seeing, because again, for me, a high impression is like a high score in a video game, right? It's not even about being, it's weird. It's not even about being popular for me. Like, it's cool that I am, if I become popular or I am popular, but like, if I do a video and it gets 100 views and I'm like, fuck, why didn't I not beat that level? And then I do a MoonPay video and it gets 45,000 views. I'm like, all right, that was a good puzzle. Like, that level worked. Like, let's go play another puzzle. Um, that's why I do it. Now, of course, me running a content company and being a creator helps, absolutely. But there's many great firms that don't make content that are far more successful than me. So being a creator is not required to be doing what I do. I just choose to do it.
Seeing you do it though does, I guess, give a little bit more. I don't know. It's just cool to see the founder in there doing things hands on, especially. I look, obviously I'm guessing a little here, but I think I feel confident. I look a year out and I look at where your content will be and what, as you keep evolving, as you keep getting better at the game, it's that much stronger of a case when you go to talk to a client, or when they know you've been in it. They've seen you achieve it in the more recent time. It's not, oh, in 2010 I grew a channel to here. It's in the last 2 years. I am in these current algorithms on all these platforms. I am hands on, and I am
Mhm.
talking about the topics that are going on in the industry or the industries I love. I think that does give a lot of confidence to a potential client talking to somebody like that, or it would for me if I'm going in to interact with somebody and they are doing it themselves.
Sure. I can't assume what everyone thinks. I think most companies are results driven, so that's
Yeah.
true. Um, but you said where would my content be in a year? I'll tell you honestly, I don't know. Like I with my business, I do think that far out, but with my content, I really don't. I'll be honest. And maybe that's a good thing. But the way I think about it is, I think about my content very differently than a normal person. Like Clemente, who's an amazing creator, he thinks about content quality and subject matter, right? Um, but someone like me, I think in systems. So my current system is what I see being currently the most optimal. I don't know if I could optimize it more. Maybe I could. I probably could. But my system is, if I turn on my stream in 30 minutes, I can get 20 clips and have several dozens of people posting about it, including on my own channel. That's an optimized system, right? Clemente doesn't have that. Clemente is going to spend 2 hours shooting a skit, and then he's going to spend another 3 hours in editing. And then, there's a lot of work to that. So, could I do skits? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know if I'd be good at that. Um, I don't know what my content will be in a year. It could be an improved version of this. It could be me. I don't know. I don't think that far out with my content. Maybe I should. I don't know.
Well, there's something to the freshness of and the current aspect of your content. I like what you tap into with. I think it provides a lot of value. Not to say you couldn't do other things, but I do think there are people looking to get quick hit, digestible pieces of what's going on in these verticals that they're passionate about. And whether you expand and you just do more of different things, I think there'll always be a ton of people looking straight down that lane of, I'm going to go to Jonah's page because Jonah's going to hit what I want to hear with a few different, what he believes are the best things to talk about. I'm going to go grab those for a few minutes, hit them, and then I can come back a couple times a day or throughout the week and just catch up on his reels. You are
I hope
providing
I hope
definitely a
that's
lot
what
of
I hope
value
that's what
there.
people think. I hope so. I
Yeah.
mean, um, like I like Clemente's content a lot, but yeah, you make a good point. Like, why do you go to someone's channel? I mean, I'm obviously not going to Clemente's channel for financial advice or to learn about what's happening in the news, right? Like, and he would agree with that. I assume he would
Yeah.
agree with that.
He's been crashing out
But
on his failed plays lately this last
yeah, but
week.
it's manufacturing. He's crashing out because it's entertainment. That's what
Yeah.
Clemente is. Clemente is an entertainer,
Yeah.
right? And so, um, there are different types of creators. Like, I'm not an entertainer, at least I don't think I am. I'm an infotainer, right? Like, I have info, or I'm sharing things, or I'm telling you about my experience running this business or working with this client, or how to find entertainers, right? I'm an infotainer. Um, and then you have people like Clemente, who I don't go to Clemente for advice, but I look at Clemente and I'm like, he's funny as fuck. I want to see what he's doing. Like, what's that guy doing? He's funny as hell, right? And then there's some people who are in between. But this is something that was a big mistake that a lot of creators made, and I even made during Web3 gaming. Um, a lot of people who make content in DeFi or in crypto, they think they're an entertainer, but you have to understand that you are just a conduit to information on one simple thing. will people make money or not listening to you, right? And a lot of the people who are infotainers who don't recognize that and are trying to become entertainers like Clemente usually die, because being an entertainer is way harder. Being the top infotainer is also just as hard. So you have two paths, right? You can't do both. You can't be an entertainer and an infotainer. So you have to pick what you want to be the best at. And if you're not with entertainment, you honestly you kind of have to be born for it. Now you can learn how to get good at it, right? Like Clemente's skits from a few years ago were okay, not great. They were like whatever, right? And Clemente started with doing Twitter Spaces where he would just talk about the market and news, and he just happened to be a better entertainer, and he got better over time because he learned how to be a better entertainer. There is a part of that experience where there is a learning ability, but you have to have a base model that you're naturally born with. Like, I'll give you an example. If I was an entertainer, let's go from 1 out of 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. If I started in entertainment content today, I'd be a 3. Now, maybe if I spent a year working, I could get to a 6, right? That's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Clemente started at a base of 6, I would say. He's between a 5 and a 6 base, and he learned how to get to an 8. But I could
Yeah.
never become an 8 because I started at 3. So there is an initial, like, are you born for this role? And also, how far could you exceed in the role if you learned in that thing? And I believe that's essential to every creator, their base personality. You can figure out where they sit on that 1 to 10 scale.
Yeah, you have an interesting aspect to your content because you do have the entertainment aspect sometimes. Like you'll just because you're just loose and you're having fun playing a game, and then you can bring the entertainment aspect because it's maybe more, hey, I'm laid back Jonah right now. This game's pissing me off, or this I'm screwing
Well, I
with
don't really
somebody in
play
this
games
game.
anymore, but I'll give you an example of content I did that I try to blend. And it's not about being an entertainer, it's about keeping you on the video,
Yeah.
right? So this didn't get a lot of views, but it did okay, right? It was me talking about a new AI data center in Ohio, right? So I could start the video saying, this AI data center is going to generate X terawatts of energy in the next 5 years, and here's how. Well, no one's going to click on that because it's like, okay, well, why the fuck should I care? Like, why should I be invested in this content? But if I say your beautiful golf course in Ohio is getting destroyed by this AI data center, and blam, you're now dead, well, I'm kind of saying the same thing, but I'm trying to make you care about that thing because you're like, oh, fuck, I'm in Ohio and I really like that golf course. So, like, another example of a video that did hit, and this one had well over 1 million views across my platforms, was the video about the explosive diarrhea in Michigan, right? So if I said, and I started the video and I said, people in Michigan are getting sick, and here's what's happening. Well, that's really boring. But I started the video saying, if you're in Michigan, you currently have diarrhea. Check, look below, right? And then people are commenting are like, oh shit, how does he know I'm on the toilet right now, right? Because now I'm addressing who would care about this video, and I think
Yeah.
that first 5 seconds defines the entirety of my system.
Those are, I mean, it's very clear to see those are great hooks right off the bat, and it's not, it's not very complicated actually. You break it down, and I think all of us miss that so often, even in our own content. But it's not like you did something insane to get there.
Mm-mm,
You just said,
no.
"Hey, what would get me to click? Like, what would get me to click on this? Oh, everybody in Michigan better get a bunch of depends or like some ridiculous look at some moment where it's like, what the
Mhm.
hell are they talking about is so much better because I've found myself doing that as well. Like the more plain, straight to the point. Yeah, like, oh, there's a stomach virus going in
Well, you
Michigan,
have to,
and I
yeah.
wouldn't click on that.
I think like you have to imagine like what the way I imagine it, because when I'm not at work, I'm kind of a fool with my friends, right? And there
Yeah.
I used to be I was in a fraternity and they're frat guys, so you can imagine like the types of conversations. So when I'm streaming, I imagine that I'm with my group of friends, and like, would you be at if you're sitting at a bar and you're with a group of friends, would you say to them, hey, there's these guys who are getting sick. Here's what's happening. And they'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, why are you talking like that? Why are you talking to me like that? It's so weird. Right. But if you were like, dude, you see this guy, he shit his pants, and then you show him the video, they're laughing. They're like, oh, that's funny as fuck. Okay, yeah, that's good. Like, that's a good meme. Or you have to imagine yourself talking to this group at a bar. Or the other thing is, I think I watch a lot of stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I'm a huge into stand-up comedy. And again, patterns. That's like my thing. If you watch enough comedians, you see the patterns are very similar, like callbacks, or another big one is you'll sidestep their expectations on the ending of the joke, right? Right. If you said like 1+1 is 2, oh, that's not that funny. If you said 1+1 is 3, but then it equals 2, then it's funny. That's like the formula if you had to think about it, like at its granular. So that's another thing I feel like I've learned a lot from is I'm not a stand-up comedian. I'm not funny, but their structures are very good because the comedian's entire job is to keep people in a chair for almost an hour and a half, 2 hours without them getting up. And that's a really hard task, especially when everyone has ADD. Imagine getting someone to sit and watch you for an hour. That is one of the hardest things to do. It's easier to raise money for a company than it is to get someone to laugh and sit and watch you for an hour straight without doing something else. That's hard.
I can't even imagine being on a stage and having, especially being in different regions that would have different energy towards your
Mhm.
comedy, especially before you're established. The road to becoming Netflix special or a big name has got to be paved with painful nights on the mic.
I mean, yeah, they get heckled or they have no audience. Like there's a lot of pain to it. Now it's, live streaming's a little easier, but it's not that different, right? Um, yeah, you just you have to, I mean, all this advice I give, it boils down to like, do you really want to do this? And a lot of people don't think about it enough because you'll say like, do you want to do this? And they'll say yes. And I'll say, why do you want to do it? And they don't really have good answers. I will say, I asked Rasmer this once on a space. I don't remember. I think I did. He had the most honest answer, actually, which is why he's a good creator. It's because he's just straight up honest. I said, Rasmer, why do you want to stream or make content? Like, what's your thing? What's the thing that drives you? And he literally said, I think he said this on space. He said, I just want to become as popular and famous as I want to be. It's extremely vain and vanity, but he was honest with himself. And because he's honest with himself, he now can make content that aligns with his vision, right? That's why he's doing the looks maxing. That's why he's doing like the getting people rage baited. Those are all things you do to become as popular as possible or get seen online a lot, right? For me, my internal driver is I want to be well recognized in the knowledge space and I want to grow a very large business and eventually retire from that business, right? So all my content is geared towards that. It used to be like I had a failure for the first few months and I kept going back and forth on it because what I really wanted to do on stream is I wanted to play video games. I watch these gaming streamers, like I watch Burnt Peanut. I'm like, that looks so fun. That looks so
Great
awesome.
streamer.
I want to do that, right? And this is why a lot of people fail making content. You'll go, okay, well, why do I want to stream games? And if the answer is because I want to play video games, well, then you shouldn't be streaming. Just go play the fucking video game, right? And that was the answer I led to myself. I'm like, oh, I'm looking for an excuse to play video games. I'm not actually trying to entertain an audience, right? With Burnt Peanut, if you watch his content, when he like says some dumb shit, he looks at the camera like it's The Office. He is clearly trying to entertain people. I was not doing that while playing games, and I realized that I'd be really fucking bad at it, even though I still love the idea of being a game streamer. I still love that imagination of it, but I wasn't actually ready for it and I wasn't the right person for it. So I think people need to just ask themselves honestly who they're talking to, why they actually want to do something and be honest about it with themselves. And then, okay, what system or what am I going to do to get there? But this is just normal thinking process.
I've heard that a few times from very successful creators, though, which is the authenticity realm, which they really clearly state if you truly line up with your content with exactly who you are and you go for it kind of in your passion lane, what you love, you'll end up, if you stick with it long enough, you end up finding that there are more people that are aligned with you. You
Mhm.
just have to get your content to the point that those people start seeing you. And even if it's, yeah, if you're thinking about the size of the US or the size of the English speaking countries, there's probably 1,000 people that think similar to your authentic self, like what you actually think on
Yeah,
things. So
absolutely. Well,
that's a
that's
really
why a lot of
interesting.
that's also why a lot of, they don't get the same advertisers, but you look at, again, streamers and creators like Nick Shirley. Okay,
Yeah.
like, that's another thing. Being a creator is also allowing the viewer to express their opinions through you. Asmongold has a really good saying, because like Asmongold, a huge streamer, right? One of the top 3 in the world. Asmongold is like, I am not an influencer, and I don't decide who is worthy and who is not in terms of games, because like he shits on a lot of games. I am simply a vessel for the opinions that my audience has. And I thought that was some of the best advice I ever heard, because a lot of people think that they're so important that their opinion is going to change markets. Like, for example, even Ansem. If Ansem said today, I don't like Solana, I would bet you a lot of people who are Ansem's fans would end up disliking him because they are all from Solana as an ecosystem and like a lifeblood. So he's
Yeah.
smart in just saying that I like Solana and Solana is going to go whatever, right? Because there is an ecosystem of culture that they were born out of. Ansem was born out of this trading Solana culture. He would not, Ansem would not exist as an influencer without these meme coins. Now, he's a great trader independent of that, but his influence would not be derived without those meme coins. And he knows that. Everyone knows that. And he, rather than him running away from it, he leaned into it. And that's why he is what he is. And that's a mistake I made a few years ago, is running away from the things that people actually want me to be. Because you're just a vessel. You're a vessel for everyone to collectively share their opinion through you.
I've seen that a lot because the truth is every once in a while I let the real me out of the cage on my content, and give my honest opinion on something. And it tends to always be the clips that get going, whether it's me just pissed off after a football game. That was probably one of my better clips. All of a sudden had 100,000 views, and it was just me in the dark, basically walking home after making a bet that went wrong and just
Mm-hmm.
tearing the San Diego Chargers apart for everything, because it was me and, like you said, the rest of the people who felt the same way walking away from that game, all in
Yeah,
alignment.
you're a vessel for their frustration.
Yeah, or the people who love them being like, "You're an idiot. I can't believe you
Yeah.
talk about the Chargers like that. John Harbaugh's a genius." Or
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's John or the other one, but yeah, it was that. Or when I watched Pluribus, and I thought it was one of the crappiest shows that exists, and I was
Yeah, you're
pissed
getting a lot
off.
of
I
hate for that.
wasted.
Yeah.
Oh, it was, and like, even not even. It's not like the views were crazy. I think there were 10,000, but there were like 400 comments. Like people were
Doesn't
living
matter.
and
It's good.
dying in the feed. So it
So
was
that's
moments like
another
that you
thing
could
which
tell.
there's another thing you discovered there by accident. That's like another thing I do with my content. And I look for a story that can evoke this is, um, someone told me this a while ago. It was another marketer, and I thought it was so smart. And so I adopted it. Um, Anytime you make a piece of content or video content, you need to think about it like a Reddit page and less like a video, where whatever you're going to make allows for people to interpret and have an opinion on it and then discuss it. Because what's boosted in TikTok, Instagram, all these platforms way more than views is how many shares. Because shares basically say to the Instagram algorithm, oh, this share means someone's spending X amount of time watching on Instagram rather than going somewhere else to do it. Versus a like is like, oh, I like that. Okay, that was a good video, right? It boosts it,
Yeah.
but a comment and a share is what really is going to boost your video. And so picking topics that football is a great example. Like if you're big on football, the best thing you could do is lean into that. And like, for example, we had a guy, this was with the Kalshi campaigns. He came up randomly through the LiveFrame app. His name was HCG Sports. And I'm like, this guy's not a clipper. What the hell is he doing in our campaign? But he's making videos of the FIFA World Cup the entire time and saying what teams he likes and doesn't, and then using the Kalshi whatever board. And he's getting, 400,000 views a video. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't hire, he wasn't hired. He just joined our camp. Of course, we paid him because I'm like, yeah, you're doing exactly what we wanted. I never reached out to you. But his
Yeah.
whole thing was basically upsetting people. And then in the comments, people talking about which team's better and why not. Right. So if I were you and you're all in on sports, right? Um, yeah, why is Patrick Mahomes' wife XYZ or what? I know the memes. I have a good idea of the football memes. Like I know Patrick Mahomes and his wife is apparently like something, right?
Yeah.
Um, right? Or like the head coach cheating and having an affair with the reporter from I think ESPN. I
Yeah.
forget her name. But all these little things like and then talking about which team's going to win, like you can get so much value out of that because then if you have that angle in that audience, I'd be like, hey, I got Underdog, I got Kalshi, I got whatever. We're looking for these channels to push our markets. We want your Reddit page effectively. That's where you're going to get a lot of sponsors, is people who can engage, and because an engagement leads to potentially a click through, and that's the biggest thing. Brands don't want to just pay for views; they want to pay for UTM links. And to do that, you need a Reddit style account, opinion account, effectively.
Yeah. It's something that I always tempt myself on, is doing a second channel that's just full on straight up brand and what I'm like outside in the world, as I hate so many
You should.
things.
Why not? Why not? I
Yeah,
mean, as long
I
as you
just
have
need
the
to do
time,
it.
obviously.
Yeah,
Just
that's the thing,
find the
is
time.
with the daughter. The daughter is that I'm trying to, each day I'm getting better with my schedule and how to I will say this, a growth hack for efficiency is when you have a daughter and you all of a sudden have 2 days you can work a week and you're
That's
at home with
crazy.
her and you go, okay, well, I have these 2 days I get coverage, potentially a third, but I'm also going to get bitched at if I work on Saturday because they're off. So it's like, okay, I've got 2
Mhm.
days and then I can wake up super early in the morning and I can work late at night on the top and bottom of of other days. So you're like, okay, so what
Exhausting.
all can I do to make these moments as efficient as possible? So it does challenge you, because even let's say my mother-in-law's in town right now and she's watching Hazel, so I have 4 days.
Mhm.
You waste so much more time when you have 4 days because you go, "Oh, I got time. I can scroll Twitter." When you don't have it, you're like, I can't even look at that screen unless I'm doing something to get something done." So, it's
Yep.
it's really interesting in the difference of these 2 times is like, okay, so when I know I have more time, I'm actually being less efficient. So I need to find the sweet spot with more time to keep that pressure on myself so that I can get that much more done when I get the 2 extra days. So that's a side channel, but it was when the pressure finally got on, once I broke out of the I don't know how to do this and like I
Mhm.
don't have a choice, I have to do this. It really it's kind of the head against the mirror, like, okay, it's you who's the problem, right? And there's something you can do better. And it's like what you said with your efficiencies. I'm efficient. Could I be more efficient? Probably, but you might not need to be. When you get put in the need to be realm, you're like, okay, there's something here. I just got to find what that thing is. And that was somewhat of a healthy exercise to be forced into the position to find ultimate efficiency.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. So, what do you decide to do next? Like, I'm curious with your content, and then I'm not interesting for longer than an hour. So, generally, uh,
You're always
ho
interesting, Jonah. You're selling yourself short.
nah, I'm an acquired taste. I'm like, but what do you? What do you plan on doing next? Is it this podcast? Is it like, where do you, I guess I would ask you the question is like, what's driving you? What do you want to do the rest of this year? Because, um, I don't have any data on your content or how you're performing, but one thing I do believe in is that if you take it seriously, you should treat it like a business, right? So I think of content like a business. So where does Brandon take his business in the next 6 months, right?
Yeah, for me, the big focus is around I've pivoted a little bit, not like it was always my intention, but I had to reword it a bit because I wanted the stream to be focused around different aspects of the market. And that doesn't have to be just the crypto market, just the financial markets. Like it could be the job markets, the business market. It should be all about gaining skill sets, the audience being able to gain skill sets and knowledge from people who are excelling at a high level so that I can have bigger conversations than just about Bitcoin or about this little protocol or this. It's how do
Mhm.
you like what skill sets align with all of these great people. And one, you could even see this if you're listening to the show consistently, you'll see that you have a gaming mindset. Easy Eats talks about always thinking of himself as a video game character or an MMO person where he's like, I am looking at my attributes. How do I increase these
Mhm.
attributes? And then Gary Cardone also had the same thought but different, which was money is his scorecard. So he's like, I don't think of money as a way of I care one way or the other, but he's like, at high wealth, you compare these numbers like it's your gaming scores. You're trying to
Mhm.
compete up for, I guess, achievements in a way. So even like being able to see people who are succeeding, having threads of the same messages and mindsets, I hope it can set people up. But my goal in the next 6 months, year, is continue to build a brand where people can know it's a trusted source to get information, that I'm going to be here 2 days a week. I'm going to get clips out with highlighted pieces of content to ideally give people the snippets of value if they can't make the stream, and be a brand that people can trust, that the show is built around trust, networking, and achieving at a higher level. And if my ideal state is if you show up and you consume the content and you follow the people that come on and you engage with them, that you're going to build a network that can position you to win in life. And if
Mhm.
that's the case, and if somebody can walk away in 6 months, a year, 2 years after consuming the content, networking with me and with my network of people I bring on, then I'll feel massively good about the show that I put on. And ideally, I'll have multiple shows underneath this umbrella with other creators under the Exit Liquidity Media account, or an umbrella above that with sub verticals of people talking about stuff that I'm not the best at. And so that I can get
Mhm.
somebody positioned. But for now, I've got to grow and prove out the initial brand. And then I'd love to expand it into something where we hit multiple verticals people really want to see information content around.
Great. Sounds like a plan. I'll see you in 6 months.
Yeah,
And I've
you got to
told you
call me
that.
on it. Call me
I'll
on it.
call you
I
on it.
that's the thing. I'm known for sticking around. I'm known for showing up. So that's the biggest thing is I love interacting with people that are the same way. You have to connect and network with people in this industry. You already know that. And I want to give a window here of 10 minutes where we're about to wrap up, but I do want to go into LiveFrame, give you a chance to speak about when we were speaking around it and somewhat in
Mhm.
it, but just square on the nose exactly what you've been building there, how you've been applying these practices within content to help these other companies, these other individuals, even going into Wizard of Soho's campaign.
Mhm.
I'd love to give you the floor to talk about LiveFrame.
Yeah, so LiveFrame, I call it the attention finance platform. It's a breed of UGC clipping and brand campaign software rolled up in one. Now we do have an actual live stream algorithm, although it's being retooled currently. But the idea is to build frontier edge tools for marketing and marketing technology. So, for example, one of our latest iterations is an AI agent system for finding creators and getting them in your campaigns. Another one we're working on will probably be one for meta ads. Um, the entire payment structure is built on top of Base, which, for all the problems Base has had in the last few weeks, they're still one of the best chains and they have a very good team. So I feel pretty good about being there. I don't have any issues there. But the idea is to make it easier for brands to run marketing and find the right people, and make it really easy for creators to get paid all in one place without having to get eaten up by significant agency fees. And I think once we do that really well, again, I call it the attention finance platform because then I want to offer other unique ways to make creators money, right? Whether it's downloading apps or trying trading platforms and getting paid for it, or getting a credit card of some sorts when I partner with, a finance company, right? My my North Star, regardless of the product, is creators are now the new entrepreneurs because AI makes them that way. And so we need to build a litany of services around them that allows other third parties to easily access them, but from a controlled environment. And then the payment and routing systems are all underneath our own hood.
Super valuable for people to be able to put together content. And even though I pulled up just so that we could give a bit of a shout out to one of your recent campaigns, I think I have the actual numbers sitting here. You might know them off the top of your head, but I saw you
You're
had
like
the Wizard of
2.4.
yeah, 2.4 million. Let me see if I've got it on here somewhere.
I mean, it's gone up since then, but I think when I posted it was like roughly 2.4. But yeah, with Wizard, in the first month of his campaign, we had 216 clips go out across Instagram, TikTok, and X. And then we rejected, I think, around 50 of those for potential botting or just like subpar content or other factors. But growing a group of people who can distribute content in their channels is really the biggest part of this job, and we've been pretty good at that. And a lot of the people we talk to seem to be happy with us versus competitors. Not to shit on anyone, but that's just nice to hear. Um, yeah, there's no secret to building this company other than just showing up every day and doing shit that most people do not have the patience or the ability of suffering to endure. We've been doing it for about the last year and 8 months. And I think these next 4 months, leading into 2 years, will be the most exciting because of all the tooling we're pushing out. We're going to start offering services like playable ads because we discovered we're really good at using AI to make games that are actually solid. So
Yeah.
we're probably going to work within App Lovin and do playables for brands. We'll put LiveFrame inside like base MCP, so agents across multiple MCPs can use our platform to run campaigns or build their own. We also think one day AI agents will become content creators, so AI agents also have the ability to apply themselves whenever that
Okay.
comes live. So you know they are living creatures on the internet, so I don't see why that wouldn't happen at some point.
When looking at, there's so many people creating, there's so many people that are also looking for a legitimate engagement. Like you said, you're really verifying the people that are clipping, that it's active. It's not just bots. It's not just what a lot of these clipping farms can be, or not saying yours is a clipping
There's
farm, but
always
there
gonna
are.
be people who there yeah, we
Yeah.
do our best. Like, it's not
Yeah.
100%. Like, and I'm honest with I tell every brand, I'm like, "Look, we can't catch them all, and it's not about having perfect verifiability, but it's about having a probability," right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if 80% to 90% is verified quality and good, that's really good, right? Um Maybe one day we can perfect it, but my guess is no, just because people are so inventive and they find new tricks, and it's a cat and mouse game. So it's all about just keeping the probability high enough to make the spend worth it.
So when you look at, and if somebody's watching here or sees some of this content later, who were the type of people that, or the ideal client for you, or somebody that you want to hear from or want to come to the live frame site?
Well, the number one thing is our inventory. And so, like collector crypto inventory is Pokemon cards. For us, it's content creators. So if you feel you're a quality content creator and you want to make money and you're in Asia or America or Europe, wherever you are at, we want you to apply and join our network, right? And then for brands, we're not doing cosmetics, but we do video games. We've had video game campaigns. There's one we're working on right now for, I think, Roblox or Roblox adjacent. AI, we have a lot of AI client inbound. And the biggest, which I'm not disappointed by, is we've had a big influx of DeFi and fintech, whether it's prediction markets or something of that nature. They all need help. And so there's a high demand for a good creator in that field, just generally across the board. So, and one that can prove that they command an audience that actually is interested. So those are the markets we like to specialize in.
You do a great job too of if they're following you, if people are following you, which I encourage you to follow at Jonah Blake. And is LiveFrame at LiveFrame, or what's the at for
Yeah, yeah,
LiveFrame?
yeah. We got the handle. They gave it to us. So
Excellent. At LiveFrame. If you follow Jonah, you'll get to LiveFrame. It's so get to at Jonah Blake. It's right on his profile as well for easy access. But he does speak to a lot of this stuff on his streams. He speaks to a lot of these different where he puts out a lot of good clips around his thoughts on what's going on within content or within the industry or in other industries. So it is a super big value add to add him because he will put snippets out. I've heard him talk on this specific subject, what the hot button of content, what the best places that you can get monetary value from creating in. He's giving you the keys to the kitchen in a lot of ways consistently, at least from his perspective. So I'm not saying you have to listen from the first second, but I think you'll see a pattern of him discussing as you look 3, 6 months, a year down the road. He tends to be pretty directionally aligned with what's going on. And that comes from him being very tapped in consistently, even with his own content. He is consuming at a consistent level on a daily basis, which tends to help you understand the trend coming out every month, quarter, year.
I hope that's true. I'm not going to deny what you said. I hope it's true though. So
I'm always right, guys. So listen to me. What I said about Jonah, 1000% correct. Book it, record it, and clip it. But thank you, Jonah, for coming on. Any last things you want to say before we close this up and let you get on with your Tuesday?
simple. Don't give up. Whatever it is you're doing, keep going. Maybe it's not the right path, but you got to keep going. Life is a vicious place, and the only way you can fight it is by keep going. That's it. Just keep going. Whatever it is you're doing.
It's beautiful because don't give up. It fits a lot of scenarios, and it is a clean way to say it. We're at the bottom of the bear. If you're a crypto focused person, we're in the kind of bottomish area of the bear. These are where some people tap out right before things turn around. If you're in the depths of the shittiest impressions on your content, not giving up could be the other side. You could be the next Jonah Blake. If you push through, you could be the next whoever.
Aim a little higher. Aim a little higher. I'm all right, but go be the next Ansem. That's where you want to be. That's where the money is. That guy's making a lot of money.
Oh, last thing. Have you seen the number of subscribers he has at $200?
Yeah, I think he makes what, like $1 million a month or something from them if they stay on that plan.
It was just insane. I think it was 800. Last I checked, I'm sure it's already gone astronomically up from there, but he crossed Elon's number of subscribers, and it's something. When I saw it was 801. I bet it's going up by 20 a
It's
week or
insane.
something.
Yeah, becoming a multimillionaire just from Twitter subscriptions is a level of aura that is hard to capture. So yes, aim to be Ansem. That's what you want to aim to be. That's whenever you start something, you want to aim to be the best. If you want to be the best in DeFi content, just aim to be Ansem. That's the guy for now. There's always another guy, but right now that's the guy.
Undeniable, undeniable. And it feels like it'll be that way for the next year or so as market bubble and as different pieces
Find
are
out.
going. We're going to find out. Appreciate you for being on. It's been an awesome conversation. We will definitely be giving Jonah a follow. I already follow him, obviously, because I'm tapped in like that. you got to get tapped in at Jonah Blake. Give him a follow. Give me a follow if you're new at the Dazzle Novak. The show runs every Tuesday at 10 a.m. PDT, I guess. Found out that I run on 2 different time zones, winter or summer. Just found that out because I was wrong one time. And on Friday, I run it at noon. So amazing to see everybody. We'll catch everybody on Friday and have a great one.
Thank you for your time.